Hello. Now that I've gotten things set up, I'm going to continue working on a floor panel for the tavern. Put my needle somewhere. I'm a little all over the place at the moment, but we'll get there. We will get there. Gotta stop putting my needle places that I'm going to lose it. This is the one needle that I have easily accessible that is the correct size to fit through the 10 count mesh that I am using. So, the goal is to finish up the table. The table? No. This is a floor. And then I want to work on. So I was brainstorming and I had an idea of how to do sort of like connectors in a way that I can basically add a connection along the top edge that'll hold the floor one way and the wall the other way. So I could use the same floor piece in different sets. Basically, try and make it modular. So excuse the awkward holding while trying to secure the end without pulling it all the way through, because that is always the worst part. It's like pull it tight so it's solid but not too tight where you accidentally pull it all the way through, but then also make sure you have enough tension that you can kind of secure things. And then also while you're looping the thread around, make sure that you don't knot it up on the back, but also making sure that it goes in the right hole while working back and forth over the where the ends are woven in. So get here. Nope, that's not that's not gonna do anything. Whatever, I was still sharing it to a Discord. I'm not worried about like this edge here over at the edge of the piece, because that I'm gonna go around this whole panel to give it a nice sort of finished edge, assuming I have enough thread, because once again we're playing the game of chicken. Since this English, since this is the first time I am attempting this type of project, especially at the magnitude at which I am attempting it, I have no idea quantities for anything. So this is a lot of, oh, that used more than I thought. And now I'm sure if I were to attempt to use like a yarn or something, I could probably get away with using less. But then I wouldn't get this awesome pattern. This is all the same color. It just looks really cool. It gives that, because of the way that the stitches are diagonal one way, diagonal the other way, it gives that really cool sort of like two color effect. So that's at least fun. Now I just have to make sure that I don't lose the excess tail. And again, things that I'm learning is it's easier to use the slightly shorter strands of thread, so you don't have to worry about it twisting so much. But I've also found that if I just at least guide it into position, it I can deal with the twisting later, because the twisting is what causes it to knot up on itself like this. Oh, okay, my phone's just going to be very loud. I had the volume up. I was watching videos earlier. I have ordered more thread, like probably not enough, but I ordered more, at least of the colors. Like I need more to finish the bar top that you can kind of see over here. I need more of that to finish sewing that off. Um, I need to get more. I'm like, I need to make 4 of these floor panels, and this is basically almost a full sheet of the plastic canvas. So I'm gonna need to get more. Uh, I have ordered more of that. I got some more plastic canvas panels. Hello. I have not played chess in forever. But what's cool about this is all actually the same color. It's just the light makes it like look different depending on which angle it's at. Although that would be a pretty cool idea. Make a whole chess set out of the plastic canvas. That'd be fun. Although maybe make it checkers also. So this is going to be the floor of the tavern. In theory, anyways. It is definitely a little bit awkward to work on something this large and not have like a nice frame that will hold it in place so I can use two hands to maneuver things. But this whole project is a learning process. Maybe that's what I'll do next time I'm bored at work. I'll make a plastic canvas stand. This is going to be a very long weekend. And I'm most likely not going to be able to stream on Sunday morning like I normally do because I'll have to go work at the racetrack on Sunday. Assuming the weather cooperates. But it is what it is. I'm not really complaining too much. It'll be nice to get back into that habit of having racing season start up again. That's not going to be enough to cooperate. Like on one hand, I almost want to try and use a whole skein at once because then I wouldn't have to have so many of these like ends on the back of it. But on the other hand, I'm gonna make so many knots if I try and use a whole skein at once, and that would almost cause more problems. So I'll continue doing my roughly 2 wingspans. I don't know what happened to you, but we're gonna fix that. allergies have been absolutely ridiculous lately. And it is not fun. I have 13 and a half more squares to do, which isn't that bad. Considering there wasn't really a plan when I started doing this, I just was like, oh yeah, that square looks good. Each square is slightly larger than like what the chair is. So, and then I went all the way this way, trimmed off the excess, went all the way this way, trimmed off the excess, and that's how I figured out how big my floors are going to be. No fancy mathematical calculations. I tried doing that, and then I was like, I can't wrap my head around that for whatever reason, because it's like each square is technically 15 by 15, but it overlaps. So you need 15 for the first one, but then 14 for the next. And for whatever reason, my brain just wasn't braining very well. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it and then record the pattern after the fact. But I do now have a fancy Google Sheet doc that has, at the very least, the outline of most of the parts that I need for like everything that I've made so far. probably more entertaining to watch this angle. So you can see the light shifting. So I will attempt to keep it this way so y'all can see. As long as I can make sure that I can hit the right hole. I might not have enough. Well, we're playing every crafter's favorite game, chicken. Do I have enough to finish this, or do I have to wait for next week when my order comes in? We're gonna hide this tail over here. This isn't any sort of fancy technique. I'm literally just whip stitching would be the stitch name. At the very least, these first couple stitches after adding the new thread, I have to hold so I prevent the tail from being pulled through. Surprisingly, I've only done that once on the floor. I believe here's nope. That's the next one I want to go in. Thread. Trying to twist the thread so it lays somewhat flat. Definitely works better. Oh, hello. Oh, wow. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. I am currently working on the floor for my tavern. So I working on this really cool pattern that it's all one color, but it looks like two different colors. Thank you for the raid, John. I hope everyone's having a good Friday night. Right, we're on Friday. It has been a week. Yep, I'm up to 41. So let me. So, yeah, we have, for everybody who hasn't seen what I've been doing so far, this is the floor that is going to go to the tavern that I have been working on with all the little, plastic canvas, the bar stools, the whole bar I have going on, and the little crocheted dolls that will be working and making a stop motion animation project. So let me tilt this back over here so y'all can kind of see what I'm doing. People are still hanging out. They're just not saying anything in the chat, which is fine. I absolutely understand not wanting to say things. Hello. Thank you for stopping by, hanging out. I have a bot in the chat to do a text-based RPG game if y'all want to hang out and play that. Pops up roughly every 10 minutes. There we go. I don't know, maybe everybody was just lagging. There we go. Okay. So I believe y'all may have been here for my spiel on what I was working on. It's okay. I'm not prepared for this many people all at once. So to reiterate, I am building the set for a stop motion animation project. Not true stop motion animation because I'm not doing every single frame, but at the very least, like stop motion snapshot animation, if that makes sense. Basically, like storyboarding, but with more detail. Because my profile picture is the extent of any sort of digital art that I do, and I'm much better at creating 3D models in the physical world with yarn. to convince the thread it wants to be over here now. So I haven't made any true stop motion animation stuff. But oh, thank you for the follow. So this is really going to be like the first time that I've done it, but I did go to school for like game design, and I did all of the art related classes for that. So this is the RPG bot that I was talking about. Just a fun little, text-based RPG thing. That is not the right direction. What am I doing? I almost messed this all up. Because I also then need to be over here. Oh, what? What did I do? I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening. So we're gonna just continue making this up as I go along. But Deuce, I haven't actually like fully done any stop motion animation thing. So a lot of this is just making this up as I go along, but I've been knitting and crocheting for a long time. 20 years. It'll be 22 years Friday? Next Friday? Because next Friday is my birthday. Thanks. Yeah, I will be streaming next Friday on my birthday. After I have, birthday dinner with the family. So it might start a little later, but I will be here. And yeah. I may or may not actually have more of the like thread that I need. It's ordered and it should be here sometime next week. So because I'm out of the color for the table, I'm gonna run, or the bar top. I know I'm gonna run out of the floor color, and I need to make a total of 4 of these at a minimum for the whole. Like, I don't need to lay out the whole tavern at once, but I want to be able to have that option. So once I finish this floor panel, I plan on working on a prototype of like a assembly clip of sorts that I can have, that I can almost like snap this into, snap the wall into, so it's not permanently connected. So I can take the walls and the floor apart and put them in a box. Like the bar is 3-dimensional. The chairs are all 3-dimensional. But I have limited amount of space. So I always need to think about, okay, well, how can I either A, reuse elements, or B, try and make sure that I can move it. Very nice. I will not be in Reno. I have never been to Reno. I The furthest I've traveled on my own has been Tennessee. I'm a New Yorker, but technically I have no. Okay, I have been to Florida. I guess that technically is the furthest, but I flew there, so that didn't count. I drove down to Tennessee. That was ridiculous. Oh, very nice. I want to go to Arizona because, like, I don't function well in the heat, but at least Arizona is a dry heat, and there's none of those trees that cause, my allergies to act up and my body to start fighting itself for no good reason. But I've always wanted to, like, travel out that way. I just don't generally have a reason to, and I'm not a huge fan of, or I hadn't been a huge fan of traveling by myself. But at this point, it's like I might as well. Nobody else is going to travel with me. This is what I want. Yes. Okay. We're in theory back on track now. And I know what I'm doing. I don't. I really don't. I am making this all up as I go. But that's okay. Winging things is half the fun. So, do you have any like specific things you're trying to do in Arizona base, or are you just gonna wander across the desert and find whatever bugs you can find? Bugs and reptiles. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, we used to do family vacations. We used to have like the friends and family that we traveled all over the point. Uh Usually we would go to the Poconos cuz having like 20 people trying to travel to the same location is kind of a pain. But yeah, no, that expo sounds really cool. And I for all the LARPing I did, I have been to the New York Renaissance Fair, but I have not ever been to medieval times. And it definitely is something that I would love to do because that whole medieval era is my vibe. Very nice. There are definitely times I feel like I was born in the wrong era. However, if I was actually born back then, I would be burned at the stake for being a witch. Because technically I am a ginger. However, yes, Renfest is awesome. I used to do medieval LARP when I lived in Massachusetts, and the whole setting for this, the main hub is a tavern because it's actually based off of the characters from the LARP I used to participate in. So it's like dark, gritty, medieval fantasy. one more. And I gotta tie it off because I won't be able to do anything else with this thread. Okay. I have, so 2 full skeins plus the one I started. I don't think, I'm not going to be able to completely finish this where like I can do the whole border and everything. And that's now just making a mess. So it is going to be exciting because I'll get to that. I'll be on the last skein, and then it's like the. Is he gonna finish? Am I gonna finish in time? Am I gonna have enough? Am I gonna have, will I have enough to finish this whole project? Thank you for the follow, Deuce. Like, if I'm paying attention when the alert goes off, I can actually read it. If I'm not, it goes quickly and my screen is very tiny. 7 more till I hit that magic number 50. And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it every single time I get closer and like pay attention to the actual total count. I would not be nearly this far along in the Twitch journey if it wasn't for, Lobase right there. Because without him and the wonderful community he's created, I would still be floundering around with like 2 followers. So that guy is awesome. I know y'all probably already know him. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Shout out a exclamation command. I think that's how that works. Maybe. Can I do shout outs correctly? Is that how you do it? Listen, it is the community, but you gave the community a home. And you were the one who invited me to the community. How do I do? Did I break shout outs? Did I? Oh, okay. Fair enough. Okay. Thank you. That one. That one. That one. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I'm still trying to figure out all the Twitch commands. Like I said, I'm making this all up as I go. Here? No. Here. Thank you, Base. You have been a huge support, and I very much appreciate you coming out to whatever streams you can, because you've made it easier to push through some of the lows that coming out with starting this. So I will be forever singing your praises, and I'm gonna figure out some way to include you in this whole animation thing. So you'll end up being an NPC in my character world. How did I manage that? This is what happens when I move too quickly. I don't know how this happened. I don't understand how I have a knot in this. There was no knot when I separated it out. So we're just gonna ignore that knot and pretend it doesn't exist. Can we cooperate? Okay. Again. Comes the fun part of securing the end as we go so we can tie less knots. I said less, not more. I don't even understand what's going on here. My threads are clearly not pulled together correctly. There we go. What is going on here? I would appreciate it very much if you stopped trying to rebel. Thanks. Sure. Okay. Now that I solved that hiccup. We might finish this. Thank you for the guidance, because I wouldn't even think to like point that out. I didn't even realize that like I did notice obviously that the raiders will have the yellow box around them for a while. But I did notice that goes away after a bit. I didn't know if that was something that automatically happened or if that was uh input from the users. So I definitely appreciate that count out. Does multi-twitch still work? Because I know I've used that in the past when I was watching like races that weren't fully streamed or restreamed, I guess. Does anybody know, like, if you have a multi-twitch up, does it count the views for all of the streams or only the one that you're actively watching? Something I'll experiment with at some point. Unless somebody has the answer. What? Hold on. I messed up somewhere. Did I? All the way back there? Really? Okay. Well, we're gonna. I did mess up. I see where I messed up. I'm not going back to fix it. All the way back here at the beginning of the triangle. I went into the same hole as opposed to going into the next hole, which is why my stitches are no longer diagonal properly. So I am just going to fix that over here and not deal with that. Because otherwise I'd have to undo all of that, and that is a pain. So we're not gonna. There are some times that I will actually go back and like undo something because there was a mistake like early on. But there are other times I'm like, nah, nobody's gonna actually know that there's a problem with it unless they are looking directly at the pattern. And most people won't have access to the patterns because I, for the most part, prefer to use my own designs, if only to not have to worry about, oh, that was mine, I did this. Yeah, I didn't know if any of the multi-watch sites like use or like if the views count for all of the streamers or not. I just know multi-twitch is the one that specifically that I had used. See, I wonder if that's supposed to be like wandering dragon as opposed to wandering dragon. But listen, as long as its hordes become part of my hordes, then we're all good. Let me quick do. Um, Great. Figured. Let me just, while I have a moment. But does it ever take the time to sit and ponder while it's wondering about its wander? Ugh, allergies are gonna kill me. Okay. Like it could be also, you know, wandering while wondering and trying to figure out what the next great wonders of the world would be. Unless they secretly know where like the Library of Alexandria is. We may have enough thread. We may. This would be when I create the predictions. Will there be enough thread to finish this part of the project? Does anybody happen to know off the top of their head what the like size, like the pixel size is for emotes? Because maybe I'll design an emote using like the plastic canvas. I mean, I know I can look that up. I just don't know if anybody happens to have that knowledge off the top of their head. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I figured, but as long as it is a square. Because I mean, even if I technically make the canvas like a 28 by 28, and like my phone will take it and the picture will be a lot bigger. But it's just one of those things. Yeah. No, I might in my off time, all of my spare free time. So all you have to do is have like a really tiny 1 pixel border around everything. But I will definitely play with those. My senior project actually in college was doing pixel art. Doing like a whole animation sequence for a game using pixel art, and let me tell you, trying to do pixel art on a MacBook with no mouse was not fun. So okay, I will definitely have to figure out what I want my emotes to be, or I also need to figure out a pattern for the dragon in my logo so I can make plushies of him. And he needs a name. So just to show everybody, let me attempt to do this without knocking things over. So yeah, this is the extent of my digital art ability, as I'm trying to get this so it doesn't reflect the light. The dragon in my profile picture. So that I did. I did the initial drawing in pencil because that is my preferred medium, and then the coloring is probably the one and only like full color thing I ever did in Photoshop that I was happy with at the end of it. Okay, we all see this, right? There's no knots in this set. There's no knots. keep it even, that'd be great too. I'll have to. Maybe that's what I'll do once I get my station set up tomorrow at the track. I'll doodle some emote ideas. Ugh. Have fun. I bet you Base went to go get snacks. And he's gonna come back with, I don't know, cheese doodles. What did he have the other day? He had like bacon, a donut, and something. I'm gonna go with cheese doodles. Acceptable. But now here's the question: crunchy Cheetos or puffed Cheetos? Because I know I have my preferences. if I'm just eating them like just a bag of Cheetos, crunchy is absolutely the way to go. But if you get a bag of the puffed Cheetos or any like, cheese doodle, you open it and let it sit for a day so they almost get a little bit stale. There's just something about that extra little like bite that they have then. Same thing with like the Smart Food white cheddar popcorn. Just a little bit stale just makes it, I don't know, it gives it a little something extra. But maybe that's just me and my dad and we're weird. So, Reese's Pieces, M&Ms, or Skittles. That's fair. Ah, I was wrong. That is not cheese doodles. I I have a monster. That is what I have to drink right now. Now, what kind of whiskey and how are you drinking it? Because if you have just a bottle of whiskey, like I have questions. There's no judgment, but I have questions. Okay, fair, fair. I more meant, are you just like taking the bottle and drinking straight from it, or do you have it over ice? Is it mixed with anything? And I don't know if I've ever had that particular flavor of whiskey. Jack Daniels is usually what I go with, but rum is more of my drink of choice. Jack and Coke is pretty good. Um, but again, I rum is my particular favorite one. So if I am trying to be like polite, I'll do Captain and Ginger. Fair enough. I have it's not like a proper glass, but I don't like the honey. It's too sweet. I go Jack Fire. Again, if I'm doing shots, it's usually Jack Fire. Unless I want to freak people out, then I'll do a shot of Black House. That stuff is dangerous. No, that is fair. That is fair. My mom likes it though, so inadvertently we're also supporting it. I'll drink it if it's here, but I have so much rum that like I could drink nothing but rum for like a week and I'd still have rum and I didn't have to buy any of it because the barter system is a wonderful thing. People want things from me at work. I'm like, okay, I like coffee and rum. And they show up with a bottle of rum. No, they show up and very quickly place it and back away before I have a chance to actually throw something at them. It's less of yo ho ho, why's the rum always gone, and more of here's the tribute. I've trained the boys at work, but what very well. And if it's before noon and I still have a can of Monster in my hand, they know don't talk to me. I will be up. I will be somewhat functional, but I will not be nice because I am not a morning person. Once the alarm goes off, I'm up, but intelligent conversation is not a thing that happens till the first monster is empty. Your tire's not supposed to keep going after you crash. Sir, you think you forgot something. I have a race that I'm watching, and they just wrecked. It is always amusing when a tire comes off a car and then finishes the lap. Who is that? I I understand that I definitely have a tendency to be like, I'm having a full on conversation going on in my head that nobody else is aware of. But I do have the NASCAR race on just in the background because I won't really be able to watch uh, Saturday and Sunday's races because I'll be at the short track watching my dad race. Well, that's empty. We're down to the last two skeins, and I have 8 squares left. I haven't really been keeping track of how many squares I get out of a skein. So we're all going to be surprised then when I run out. Here? Yes. It's in theory supposed to rain tonight. Yesterday it looked like it was going to rain all day tomorrow. So who knows what the weather's actually going to be like? Because you certainly can't trust the weather now, the weathermen. It was certainly like windy enough yesterday to make it look like a storm was blowing in. It's always amusing when the safety crews go out to the wrecks and then you see them hopping back into their trucks with miscellaneous car parts. And you try and play guess that car part. Ah, that would do it. When you dip your wheels off the road or off the track enough to catch a drainage, or catch a drain in the infield, that would upset your car enough to send it straight up into the wall. You can keep your storms down in Charlotte, North Carolina, because here on Long Island, it's opening night tomorrow at the short track, so we don't want the weather. No, that's always a good thing. It is. It's a double-edged sword because we have both the Saturday and the Sunday show this weekend. Um, so I have to be out at the racetrack at like noon, meaning I most likely will not be able to stream Sunday morning. Like I have been. Depending on how like absolutely drained I am, maybe I'll get something in Sunday night, but I'm not going to promise anything because it all depends on how much I need to drink after putting up with some of the people I have to work with. Ooh, I finally have buckets of water now. Flying water wizards. How do you propose that the flying water wizards are flying? Like water jets? Or are they in like a cyclone of sorts? Maybe they fly on clouds. I'm gonna go with that one. They all look like Lakitu. is the what is that, Repticon? Is that like an all-day event, or can you go like do some outdoor shooting in the morning and then go to the con like later in the day? I mean, it's also different if you told your friends that you'd stop by and say hi, or if you were just gonna go surprise them. I would imagine, anyways. Oh, that's fair. Yes, I remember either hearing or reading about you, your interest in a snake. That's really cool. That I don't know how I would react if I found a snake that large, like around my house. The most exciting reptile I ever found was like a one of those little teeny tiny like garter snakes. The neighbor's chickens like to escape into our yard, but that's the extent of real like wildlife. Oh, good. Yeah, I definitely don't know how I would react in that situation. Like, I don't have a problem with snakes or reptiles in general. It's just one of those, the unexpectedness of it. Again, there's also the whole thing where they are just not native to the island. Ugh, making me open links. Yeah, I could imagine that that would definitely be one of those, like, oh, you know, oh, that is a very large thing. That is impressive. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not completely up to date on the all of the safe snakes and whatnot, but again, not really a problem around here. The worst like pests we really have to deal with is mice. Once in a while, bunnies are around here. Our dog likes to pretend that he still can catch rabbits. Not that he has ever caught a single rabbit in his life, but he's 10 years old and was never able to catch rabbits when he wasn't an old man, and now he's an old man. But he'll still try and dart after the rabbits, and he gets about 5 steps, and then he goes, "Ow, that hurt." But the most recent like reptiles that I've handled, my sister has a bearded dragon that she'll bring up uh, when she comes visits for the holidays. And now she also has a pigeon. I'm like, what? What kind of animal rescue nonsense are you trying to run? I think if I were to get any sort of, I guess, like exotic pet, other than just like a cat or a dog, I'd want to get like some sort of like owl or a fox, because like fennec foxes are adorable. But I don't know if they're legal to own in New York. I also don't really have the time or energy to put into caring for a pet, seeing as how, I can barely function as an adult myself. Yes. Yes, thank you for hanging out. Sleep well, and I will definitely try and hop in one of your streams again if I have access to a computer. And enjoy your photo shoots tomorrow. Okay, I am going to take a quick break because this is empty and I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. I recommend all y'all go, fill up your drinks or whatever. I will be back in like 5 minutes. So enjoy the chill music for the time being. have returned with tea. Ugh. I see my chat is not on fire. Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks for sticking around, Deuce. Ugh. Do I collect anything? I collect a lot of things. Um, the probably the one thing that I collect from like travel. So you know those squished pennies? I don't really have them on display anywhere, but you get them at like the rest stops where you put the 51 cents. But what I have over here, you can kind of see those picture frames over there. Those are those like enamel pins. So that is what I like to pick up from whatever events I go to. Uh, Other than that, I have a lot of just the miscellaneous bits and bobs. I have the one frame that was over there was I have like the some of the slabbed Pokemon cards. Because I collect the Pokemon cards. I have the enamel pins are it's one of the things because like there's always those cool like you know they're cool to remember and just have uh just those small little collectibles that don't take up a whole lot of space because I am doing everything out of my room and don't have a whole lot of space in general. Um, and the pennies, it's like I have a little change purse in one of my bags that has that I just carry around quarters and really shiny pennies in case I ever find one of those because I have a hair in my mouth. Um, like when you go to like a museum or you travel. Hey, hair, can we stop? I don't know if it's a hair, a thread, or what, but um, yeah, no, it's I moved. So I grew up here. I moved to Massachusetts to go to college, and I lived up there for 7 years. Now I moved back here. What? 8 years ago. Um, so the process of basically picking up and moving my entire life twice, it means I really never got a chance to establish what like collectibles I wanted to hold on to. But I do have a lot of like miscellaneous little dragon figurines scattered through everything. So dragons are always like my go-to. This actually I got at the Ren Fair that I went to. It's the I got it from the little pewter dealer. So I just like the little miscellaneous knickknacks. If you couldn't tell by the profile picture, the logo, dragons are kind of my thing. Uh, that and the color purple. Anything past that, I'm not really all that picky. I like the cute things. I like stuffed animals. I'm a big kid. I have the giant squishmallow that you can kind of see in my face cam. That is a dragon. So my other problem is it's like I don't want to get like the mass produced things, but if I find artists, I'd like to support them, and I prefer if they have like the little mini like tchotchkes and whatnot. Uh, as opposed to like I don't have a whole lot of wall space, so I can't get like artwork. That is awesome. I want to get another tattoo. I want to do dragon wings across my shoulders, but the tattoo artist that I had gone to, uh, they moved, and it's also been like 10 years. I'm trying to think. When was the last time I got a tattoo? I think it was over like 10 years ago. But I have 4 of them. And it's like, I want to do some sort of tattoo like here, but I burn very easily. So I am very wary about getting any sort of ink on my arms or any part of me that gets particularly exposed to the sun a lot. Because I also have a tendency to just not use sunscreen, even though I should know better. I think it'd also be cool to do like a dragon wrapped around like the sword type thing. Uh, where do I have that? I have I don't know if you can see it in my face cam. Uh, but I have those like ceramic or the plaster cast like wall things that have the. It's like a slightly too large letter opener, but it's that Western style dragon with the uh like holding the sword. I would love to have a collection of knives. However, I should not be allowed near sharp, pointy things. It's bad enough that they trust me with scissors and needles. But I have, um, I used to have a really cool knife that unfortunately got stolen when my apartment got broken into back in Massachusetts. So, but it was a red handled uh, about yay large, red handle, had a tribal style dragon on the side, and the blade was black and had like the ridges on the back of it. I need to see if I can find something like that. I do have an obsidian, an antler blade that I had gotten at some fair or another. I am an idiot. I have to undo all of these things because I'm a stitch off. So now we have the fun of having to undo things. I also, somewhere in my witchy kit, I have a dagger that is a it's like the dragon's body is the sheath and the head is the hilt of the dagger. Then I also made a laser cut dagger for myself because work was annoying me. So I made myself a knife. Which is also one of the reasons why I have a reputation at work. It has nothing to do with the fact that I regularly throw things at people. But no, I like sharp, pointy things. I actually have made and designed a couple of teeny tiny, sharp, pointy things for the characters. So it is the perfect size. It lives in her boot because I couldn't quite design a like leg sheath like I wanted to. So, no, it's. I never really got into like a whole. Oh, let me make sure I always get like, this particular type of souvenir from things. I just never had anything that I was into like that. It's also a lot more fun. Shot glasses are always useful to have. However, why dirty a glass when you can swig straight from the bottle? So how did I manage to screw this up? I skipped something somewhere. But also collecting things like that, it's a lot more fun when you get to do it with like with someone, or you have like friends who will send you things, because I know I don't travel a lot. I have 3 Funko Pops. I have Daenerys Targaryen up on the shelf back there, and I have Leafeon and Sylveon sitting over on my desk over here. I wish they had more of like the mini Funko Pops, because I would love to have like a wall of the mini like collectibles. Because again, I'm limited by how much space I had. If I had a room that I could dedicate to collectibles, I would have way too many Legos. That's what it would boil down to. What I would love to do would be like basically, oh, hey, everybody who lives in, you know, different areas than I do, I would love to, like, those squished pennies, because that is something that is super cheap and people have a lot more access to them than I do on Long Island. Plus, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg anytime you want to travel. I when the Harry Potter Legos first came out, I had basically the entire Sorcerer's Stone collection. And then because both me and my sister were into Harry Potter, we both had the Hogwarts castle. So for Christmas, instead of having like whatever train normally goes under the tree, I set up the whole Hogwarts thing around it. That was fun. But I've since recycled my Legos, at least, the large sets. And now I have like these from Five Below. I have these little, you know, gem kits because, again, shiny things, and it gave me a little project to do. So I have those sitting around. I have a couple little like crochet kits that I've done. Oh. I have a tendency to I need to fidget with things constantly, and if I'm not making something, get anxious where it's like, oh, clearly I could be doing something. Okay, almost done undoing this section because somehow I was off by a stitch. I think it was just I didn't go. I changed directions too quickly. Trying to very carefully not spear the thread. This is like, welcome to today's lecture on how to undo your mistakes. So, how'd you get into collecting like blades and whatnot? Because I know that usually starts with a minimum age. There we go. No, that is completely fair. Do you have a particular like style of weaponry that you like over the others? Like I know I love the like medieval, uh almost like to the level of like the fantasy weapons, but just like actual like short swords or like rapiers. I always like the pirate cutlass. It's always a fun one. Delicious, delicious tea. Very nice, very nice. The katanas are also a fun weapon. But if I had to choose a weapon that I would like learn as like my primary fighting weapon, it would be some sort of ranged, probably like a bow or a crossbow or something like that. Just something about that, like, I've been to a shooting range and I've fired guns before, but I'm like, I could take it or leave it. I'd prefer to fire like an arrow or like a dart gun or something, like blow darts. Silent, or at least a lot quieter. Ugh. Allergies, especially this time of night, are no fun. Oh, Yay. You didn't miss much. It was just trying to, fight back against the allergies without resorting to taking medicine. Okay, we're going to secure this end, and then we open the last skein. So I'm gonna definitely need at least 10 per floor panel, which seems to be about what I was kind of expecting. I don't have any, no. So I'll have to wait for my delivery, which should be here. It might be here Monday, which means I'll have it before I stream again. And if I do end up streaming Sunday at all, I will work on something else. Thank y'all, thank y'all. I'm really happy with how it's coming out because again, I am winging a lot of these patterns and just kind of being like, oh, well, you know, like I wasn't expecting the like two-tone pattern shift like that, but it definitely came out like really nice. But the next step is going to be sort of figuring out how I can build the set, like the walls, without having to sew the walls together. Because if I was making this like a dollhouse or something that it's permanently going to be like fixed together, that'd be one thing. That would be a completely different method of construction. I'm almost wondering if it would be better to add a second layer of plastic canvas underneath this one as I sew them together, just to make it a bit more sturdy. but it's not like I'm putting a crazy amount of weight where it has to support a lot. It's not structural. That's the phrasing I'm looking for. I think I might just barely have enough to, at the very least, finish the pattern. And then what I'm thinking for the walls of the tavern is have that like cobblestone or like stone bottom like half and then the wood on top of that, since technically the tavern's supposed to be 2 stories, so having, I guess, a stone foundation makes some degree of sense, at least in my head. But then again, magic exists to a degree, even if it's not particularly talked about in the world. And yes, this sort of rambling is what happens even when I'm completely by myself. I will talk out loud and think out loud. Because, the 3 signs of insanity are talking to yourself, arguing with yourself, and then losing arguments to yourself. But I digress. Ooh, I got a copper sword. Fantastic. The problem when I'm at work and I'm talking to myself is it's less talking to myself and more cursing out my coworkers under my breath and rambling about what idiots they are and how they all need to go jump in front of a semi truck. I work in a manufacturing plant running a sheet metal laser cutter. So I I'm very particular about how things are done and where things are put, and you know, I get very annoyed when they're either not where I left them or when the person who should know what they're doing by now has done the completely wrong thing and I have to fix it. So I tend to get very angry at work, which is why there are like 2 designated people to come talk to me because I don't immediately throw things at them on site. Although the worst offender of talking to themselves out loud is my mother. She will sit there, and more often than not, she's talking to the dog, but me and dad will be sitting in the same room, and we have to go, are you talking to us? Or was that to the dog? Because she'll mumble in the same like volume level, and then like look at us like she's expecting an answer. And it's like, dude, we didn't know you were talking to us. My bigger problem is that I'll make a statement and then like jump several steps ahead in my head, uh and then like ask a seemingly unrelated question and expect people to be on the same wavelength. I have done my time in retail. I worked convenience stores, so not quite like clothing retail or something, or like department store. uh but I am very much not customer service oriented, and there's a very good reason why I generally don't interact with them unless if I'm selling my crafts. That's one thing. I have zero problem playing up the customer service act in that case, but more often than not, I'm like, no, thank you. I did my time. Ah, Target for the fancy people. It between Target and Michael's, those are the two stores that I live in because there's like a Target within walking distance of my house. But yeah, I can imagine the sorts of people you have to deal with at a Target. Did I screw up somewhere again? I don't know. That's fair. If it's in like a decent area, then you know, jumping into a new store before it's kind of gone to shit. But again, I very specifically avoided any of those retail type jobs. Like I did my time. I worked food service for a while. I did. I worked at a snack counter in a bowling alley. So that was interesting. I did bartend at a bowling alley, and now my quote unquote career is throwing sheet metal around and threatening people. To be fair, this is what most of this got done while I was at my real job. However, nobody said anything because, like, if they had, I would be like, listen, I'm stabbing plastic. That's probably better than me stabbing people. And I haven't bowled in years. but my parents actually met bowling. So I have a very wide range of interests. Uh, like I'm watching a NASCAR race on TV. I bought my dad a race car. I've bowled. Uh, I play in an orchestra. I do all sorts of crafts. I keep busy. But like even so it's I started hanging out at the racetrack because I bought my dad the race car, and then I kind of got poached by the track to work in the camera booth. So I do all of the replays that you see if you watch Flow Racing, or it's just anytime like you would see a replay pop up of something, I'm the one pressing those buttons and going back and finding the replay. And even that, I'm doing like 50 things at once because I have to listen to about 3 radios, the people in my box, press buttons for the graphics. I'm like, okay, listen, get me a bigger Stream Deck, because the Stream Deck they have me using is one of those like 6 button ones, so I have to dig through like 50 folders to find the button I'm looking for. Like that's not how this is gonna work. We're gonna fix that this year. At least if you want me to use the fancy new graphics that they sent. Hopefully, this is enough to finish this bit. Untwist that. Not stab myself in the chest. Almost done. Almost done. I'm like trying to go as fast as I can to finish this up, but I'm trying not to go too fast to the point where I screw something up again. Because it would make it a very nice stopping point to finish off this floor panel. I do play some. I haven't really played any in a while. Uh, so I have a bachelor's degree in game design, actually. Um, so that's what I went to college for. But I pretty much only regularly play the Pokemon games. But like I've played Skyrim, I've played Oblivion, Minecraft. Nothing, none, not really any like MMOs or any really online multiplayer games at all. Because I hate trying to play with other people. It never ends well for me. But I enjoy playing the occasional like casual game with like friends, but all of my friends stopped playing games. And it's like the biggest example of that is I used to play League of Legends back when League first came out. And then the community got toxic, and I was like, no, thank you. I want no part of that. But I will happily hop on any sort of like Minecraft server that friends have because I love doing, especially modded Minecraft. But there hasn't really. I prefer watching people play games as opposed to playing them myself. Simply for the fact of this way I can work on my crafts while watching them play whatever game, and I can focus on absorbing the story of it. Because that's always been my like I prefer very story driven games as opposed to like FPS games. So a lot of times when I'm watching, not so much at the moment, but I would watch like the Legends of Zelda randomizer speed runs, or even like Zelda One, or usually it's Link to the Past. But it's a lot easier for me to just throw on like one of those long form playthroughs on YouTube as opposed to me attempting to figure out the games because I get mad and I try hard and then I don't have fun. What are your preferred games to play? Fair enough, fair enough. I attempted to play Fortnite once and got way further than I was expecting to, considering I prefer to game on PC and I was playing an FPS or, the Battle Royale on my Switch. And I'm like, this is not going to work very well since I hate these types of games in general. But so like this RPG bot, this is the sort of stupid game that I enjoy playing. These text-based RPGs. If I could find a D&D group, I would be so happy. I haven't played D&D since before I left Massachusetts. I think that's where I want to go. Almost done. I have this little teeny tiny triangle left. And then I can say one of 4 floor panels is done for the main area of the tavern. Because of course I can't do anything the simple way. But ideally, once I finish this, I'll be able to like use this whole thing as like little photo shoots. And if I had a dedicated group of like gaming friends, it would be different. But I don't have that like group of friends who wants to game. So it's just easier to not play those games because I would very much prefer not to really play multiplayer games solo. Unless it's something like a World of Warcraft or any other sort of like RPG type thing, when you can, in theory, do things uh, like that. But I never really had that like group to game with. which is fine because I tend to get salty if I'm not doing well. And like I'd like to find a group of people to play like the stupid party games, Uno with friends or golf with friends. Any of those sort of, silly party games like that, I would be more willing to play uh like now. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to stream. Uh, this is just always something like for me personally. I've always wanted to do something like just like to stream because I'd be doing the crafts either way. If I can use this as a method to connect with either like-minded people that we can share techniques or just to, trick my brain into, oh yes, this is what friends feels like. It's I was going to be here doing this regardless. It really doesn't make too much of a difference if I'm doing it in front of an audience or not. At least that's like the mindset that I'm going with. And if I make friends along the way, great. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm very much working on the like mental health side of things, I guess would be the proper way to phrase that of I need to get used to putting myself out there and opening up to others because I definitely have that tendency to just yes, let me push everybody away before they have a chance to hurt me. But I'm getting better. I am getting better at it. I mean, hey, 43 people seem like I'm at least worth enough to, you know, give me the follow. And again, I've only been doing this for 2 months at this point. So to be where I am this quickly, I'm just still sort of mind blown moment. Oh, the wandering dragons are back. Untwisting the thread. So, at the very least, this is what the finished edge will look like all the way around. But obviously, this tail is not going to be quite enough to finish everything. But I finished the main pattern, which I am happy about. That was the main goal. In the downtime between now and whenever I can stream again, I am going to experiment a little bit with how I want to clip it together. My idea, which I will at least show off the little brainstorming I had. So basically, by taking, I have 4 small pieces of the canvas here. The width will actually go like the whole length, but basically stacking 2 and 2, working through like 2 pieces together and sort of attach them so it'll end up like, this is kind of difficult to explain, but end up like a U that then can sit around the edge. So like this would be clipped around the edge like that, so that I can basically create a frame that I can then change the floor panels or the wall panels in to make a true like modular set piece. Again, at least that is the current plan. I may have to revisit the idea if I find a better way of constructing something like that. But I'm not 100% sure, which is why that will be my next, while I wait for the order of existing colors to come in. So that will definitely be the mix and match of like, oh, okay. Because then my plan is for that framework, I guess would be the term. I have this like dark brown black to act as sort of like, if you've ever been inside a log cabin, you have the upright frames and that usually are a contrasting color to the walls. So that is at least the current thing inside my, like, you know, the vision in my head. And it is all a matter of whether or not I can replicate that satisfactorily in the real world without, you know, truly hooking up to some mad science machine and actually manifesting my thoughts, because that would be scary, and we don't want what's actually in my head out in the real world. That would be problematic for a lot of people. So this is just going to be a bunch of tedious sewing in circles. Michael's is usually where I order my stuff. It's online. If they happen to have it in stock, I'll go run over, because there's one, again, technically within walking distance, but like a 5-minute car ride from home. So it's all, I don't use any fancy supplies, any, you know, it's the dolls are all the embroidery floss, but like the pearl, the twisted one, the twisted embroidery floss, or the crochet thread that you use to make lace with. This is all that embroidery floss. So there's no fancy supplier. Occasionally, if Michaels doesn't have a particular color, I'll order it on Amazon. I've never been one like I've never been one of those like snobby crafters where I have to have hand dyed, merino wool. Like, I no. Give me what's cheap and comes in the colors I want. I don't really care much past that. I've always been more of the efficient and the economic crafter. Occasionally, I will use fancier things for like my personal projects, but no, if I'm crocheting, it's Red Heart acrylic yarn or whatever the store brand equivalent is. I only really look for the fancy yarns when it's like, oh, this particular pattern that I really want uses this ridiculously fancy yarn. I guess I'll go find something similar. Although I will say, probably the fanciest thing that I did was here, I will attempt to do this. So, this blanket here, I made that. So, that is, let me try and get this so my face cam is not blocking it. There. So, this is that like velvet plush yarn. So, that was probably the fanciest yarn that I bought for a specific purpose. So I am like starting to lose my train of thought. So we are going to find somebody who is live to go raid. And we'll do one more. We'll wait for the next RPG battle. And then we will find someone to raid. Because I also need to. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to start looking for somebody else. My hands are starting to cramp up. I've been up since 5:30. I know these sound like a bunch of excuses, but I'm tired. So I'm going to see who all is live at the moment. So there is another. Oh, very nice. The extent of my beadwork has been minimal. I will do like the friendship bracelets of like the the basic where you're tied like the chevrons and that sort of basic thing. But here, let me switch over so you can see my face. So I'm not, you're not talking to the floor. Um but yeah, so I do like a lot of the pride flag bracelets. That is just like a simple striped friendship bracelet. And then I do like sports themed bracelets, only the New York teams because I'm not a huge sports fan. And for the most part, I can't be bothered to sit there and like finesse beadwork. I have a fancy bead loom, not that I use it. Although I might look into some beadwork to make some like accessories for the dolls because, they need their little accessories. And Thierry's seen some things. So she needs to have her nice pearls that she can clutch when people are being obnoxious. Perfect timing. What? How did I? It looks like it says I used 41 out of 12. I have to look at the inventory on the actual website because I don't even know what I have in the RPG game. So I'm going to take however many of us there still are. We're gonna go raid Jam Perfect Imperfections. She does like she makes her own yarn. So that's pretty cool. That is probably the one like fiber thing that I do not do, but she's been doing hand dyeing. So we're gonna go say hi to her. So thank y'all for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.